behind Summer Sangria in their last matchup on June 4th. She appeared to be slowly getting to her. She was 5-2 that day, hence the 5-2 on the morning line. Since then, Domingo Chacatana had this mare claimed away from him by Carl Broberg. So pretty poor performance last time out. However, that was on dirt where this horse, his buyer figures are much lower. The 7 is my sleeper in here, La Marina. Only one turf race in her career, and that was at Remington Park last fall, defeating $20,000 condition claimers. This is a straight $15,000 claimer. Ships down here after 4 starts at Will Rogers. Showed good early speed there on the main track. You just got to hope that she's better on turf than dirt. And based on her one turf race, I think you could make a case.
If Will Rogers had a turf course back in March, April, and May, they would have lost a lot of turf races because, as you mentioned, La Morena's caught a lot of off tracks. I think you mentioned that, did you not? That's a long run of sealed tracks in a row for her. I've got her as my third sleeper as well. You just have to look back to that last turf sprint. It's a small sample size, but it was a darn good one. So we're the same picks. I wonder a little bit where Summer Sangria has been. Maybe there just hasn't been, a race fill in quite the right spot for her. She hasn't worked since June 4th either, which is a little bit of an Asmussen question mark. But I really think she's going to have to fail to lose this race. Not that that's not possible, but I just don't really. My Golden Bling didn't get ahead of her on June 4th. My Golden Bling could legitimately beat her, but if she runs her race, she's going to be solid. I agree with you, though. I'd worry about too short a price for her in that first race. Second race. We go into maiden 2-year-old filly claimers here, group of 6, 5 furlongs the distance. I think this is our first 2-year-old maiden claiming race. I can't be 100% sure. We didn't run one last week, but anyway, they're in for $25K.
Yeah, I think it's our second one. Yeah, I remember mentioning.
I think we did break into the claiming.
Yeah, why these are so difficult. But anyway, the 4 Forever Family. 6-5 on the line. Nothing to do with her performance first time out. Has more to do, I think, with the filly she's running against today. She was 7-2 in a maiden special weight race, which was a good field. Rialto, Spivosky, Viewing Trail. That was a pretty strong special weight field. The works up to that race were really good for this filly. And again, she did show some early speed before backing out. I love that she breezed since then, given the green light that she's came out of the race in good order. And Lane Luzzy takes a return call. She's the one to beat in here. Attaboy, Moy Girl is the next one. Sire Tapazar, people know Steve Asmussen won the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile at a big price back in his prime. Alan Dupuy, the trainer's having the best meet I can recall him having. The workouts, which is something to look at. People get enamored with bullets, but 13 of 29, 7 of 31. I like it when 2-year-olds work in the top half of a set of workers for the distance on any particular day, and gets one of our leading riders as well. So I think there's a lot to like with the 6 Adam Moy Girl. Haley's Jewel is my third pick. Mar-a-Lago, the Dam, won her career debut. Richard's Kid, the sire, won $2.4 million. The workouts, the last 2 at least, are the first 2 works were again in the top half of the workers for that particular morning. They only paid $1,000, so the fact she's debuting for $25,000 doesn't concern me like it would be in some other situations.
And if you're reading the program, or if you have a slightly older set of PPs, Haley's Jewel did have a June 28th gate work at Retama in 38-3, which was the fastest of 6 works at Retama that day. So they did sort of blow her out in anticipation of this, in addition to the works that show up in your program. I'm on Forever Family as well. She was steadied while being outrun in her last race. I don't think the trouble was major. She was certainly done by the 3/16, and I think Luzzy just kind of wrapped up on her and just thought, we're going to have to wait for another day. So I wouldn't be so overwhelmingly afraid of that 19.5 because he was not pushing her at all through the stretch because she was absolutely toast at that point. But there's no reason she can't improve a lot. She's facing a much, much weaker field here. And like you say, did show some speed. I couldn't beat her. I looked, and I couldn't beat her, and I couldn't beat Attamoy Girl for second either.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever laid over 6-5 coming off a 0 buyer.
That's that is interesting.
That is doing something there.
Yeah, that really is.
Wow.
On to the third. Scratch number 3, lovely Lady Lexi, who I thought might really enjoy the change of scenery here for Donnell Durham coming off Hot Springs, but she's out. That leaves it 3/4 of a mile, and it leaves Brent Davidson with a very solid hand. I have the Brent Davidson exacta, in fact, in this race.
Yeah, I think we both do. I like the 5, Princess of Chi-Town. A lot to like. The races last summer here at Lone Star Park and in the fall at Remington, all those races, 3 of them wins, produced buyer figures faster than any of her rivals face today. Luis Quinones, who's aboard, finally back aboard today. He was riding her when she was running so well as a 3-year-old. Turf to dirt angle is very profitable for Brent Davidson's stable. So, and should be fit. Front running turf route back into what is her best distance and surface here. So Princess of Chi-Town, the one to beat. Scarlet Position is my next one. Did win a race last year at Oaklawn Park. That's certainly a good credential. Been running exclusively in optional claiming races at Will Rogers and here at Lone Star Park. Last time out, ran into Lady Ave, who is unbeatable at Lone Star Park. Yeah. This is a significant drop in class, even though you'd see the optional claiming 10 starter allowance. This is a much easier group, so I think Scarlet Position for Brent Davidson is very live. The one horse, Dorita's Heart, I scratched, and this one is my third pick, but the buyer figures are competitive. Third at this exact same class level, a couple races, main track races ago. Draws inside for Brent's daughter, Sarah. I guess it's an all-Davidson trifecta.
Yeah, it really could be. I did nudge Dorita's Heart to the 4th spot in my picks over Miss MJ, who I have as third. She's mainly faced Texas breds. Only one time am I seeing a non-Texas bred race among the last dozen. But she's shown good speed. She's drawn outside. You get the Caldwell-Luzzy connection here. She should be comfortable with the distance. So just the speed and the outside post, she should have a good look at what's going on inside of her. So I took her for third. On to the 4th. We got a couple of scratches out of this 5.5 furlong Texas bred filly and mare event. Scratch the 3, White Diamond Sky, and scratch the 4, My Baby Blue.
All right.
This is the first pick where we disagree on the top pick.
Yeah, I was preparing to say what I was going to say, and then I missed the 5s out. Or did you say not out?
No, not the 5. The 3 and the 4, White Diamond Sky and My Baby Blue.
Well, that's good. At least it don't affect much. The 8, Moral Lingerie, is my top selection. Just a nice career debut. At this level here, state-bred condition claimers, it's nice to see a filly who broke her maiden and maiden special weight races, went into a stake race, can easily, draw a line through that. It looks like she runs best when she can be close to the lead. So 2 starts back, they went 21-3 in a very quick field. The third-place finisher in there, Kelly Sidretti, came back to win. Last time out against allowance rivals, was able to be up close and ran a much improved performance. Now a state-bred condition claiming a race for the very first time. Drew out a beautiful post for a sprinter with some early speed. So that's I'm going that direction. Expect the Boss for trainer Steve Asmussen. It was stake place last year as a 2-year-old. This year, you see a good in-the-money finish, second-place finish in maiden special weight races. They tried turf with her last time out. She did win by 3 in a turf sprint. It just looks to me like she hasn't improved from her 2 to 3-year-old year. And with a lot of trainers, especially Steve, when he starts a 2-year-old in May, generally that's his way of thinking, let's make money while we can. It looks like one of those early developing types because on paper, at least, she hasn't improved much at all from her 2-year-old season. Swift Redbird, I did not know what to do with this one. I wanted to pick her, but she's been off a very long time. Terrific early speed. You can see she has slightly the fastest speed figures. The workouts have all been good. However, she did have a 6-week break in works between May 4th and June 15th. Not a good sign when you've already been off quite some time. But she's stake placed. Obviously, she's plenty good enough. It's a tough read. A horse like Swift Redbird, as a handicapper, it's always difficult to know what to do with them.
Yeah, I agree. I think she was entered at one point a few weeks ago and scratched. It'd be nice if the PPs indicated that, but they don't. I think they should. That's a soapbox I haven't been on much this year, but nonetheless, I took her. I didn't know what to do with her either, so I took her on top. She's very quick. She has faced winners on multiple occasions before, back when she was a maiden, and mixed it up pretty well in those Texas bred stakes at Sam Houston last year and a couple of them here. It was probably a little bit overmatched. I think Star of the North was obviously kind of a star a year ago at Sam Houston. Broke her maiden here over this track on a sealed surface in April of 21. We haven't seen her since. Some of the works are good, but I agree the gap is a little troubling. But I'm going to take her only because Expect the Boss to me is one of these that will cash a lot of checks. She has a very intriguing record of one win, which was last time out on turf in 5 seconds. And then Moro Lingerie, she's very logical. First time for a tag, a lot to like about her, but she is 3 years old, so is Expect the Boss. I don't know if that means anything on the 4th of July or 3rd of July, but I'm going to try to beat her. We'll see how it goes. 5th race, 7/8 of a mile, Texas-bred non-winners of 2 claimers.
Yeah, this is wide open race. I picked the 8, made it my best long shot, 5-1 on the line. This is a tough race, like I said. Not a lot of early speed in this race. I think the top pace figure horse is the one I was thinking there was a cheaper speed horse inside, but I'm thinking of a different race. Moro Warrior, though, maybe has found a field he can get to the front with. And really, he ran a good route race against allowance rivals, leading for basically 7/8 of a mile, the distance of today's race. Really decent performance last time out this level. Forwardly placed, beating a length in 3/4. I just hoping she gets a clear lead for the first time in her career. And usually horses, if they can get clear, they run the best races. And I'm hopeful in this spot because this is a toughie. At least I thought it was.
Yeah, I agree.
The 5 Moro Code, beat maiden $15,000 claimers last time out. Had a nice lead in mid-stretch. Held on to win at 6-5. Jade Gellner's had a terrific year. I liked that maiden win came at 7/8 of a mile, making his third start off a little break. So I do assume he'll continue to move forward. Tapping the Bling. Nice game made win at 5/8 a mile. Went 2 turns last time out of this exact same condition for J.R. Caldwell. Battled for the lead from start to finish. Finished second. 3 lengths back to third. Draws an inside post position. Does have 7/8 experience. And again, this is one of those races. Again, I tell people I'm not going to talk you out of any horse. You just say who you like, and good luck to you.
Yeah, I agree. And this might be a race where it's best not to overwhelmingly focus on the buyers because the best are kind of in that mid-40s range. And, for that reason, I used him 4th, but a horse like Final Narrative at least comes off a good race. Now, it was a while ago. He did beat a next out winner in Texas Remington. That's the bottom maiden level for T-Breds that he was at. He's come back and worked 3 times since for Danny Pish. There's certainly a lot worse connections than that. So there's a lot of contention in here. I went with Tapping the Bling, just the turn back angle. That's a pretty good percentage move for Caldwell. And this horse only shows the 1 work since the May 19th, but that's common for Caldwell horses. And, this horse had a pretty good trip last time and was still a clear second behind First Bump Bridge, but at least he's realistically spotted. I like to see these horses that, he broke his maiden here at this meet and really got a very low fig, but came back and improved that buyer fig while running second at decently long odds, and now gets to, stay in the same basic realm and shorten. So Moro Warrior, I agree on him. He closed good ground last time. I got him as a second pick and Moro Code 3rd because he did like 7/8. So, okay, more 2-year-olds here. 2-year-old maiden special weights going in the 6th race. 5.5 furlongs is the distance.
Yeah, and I opt for the experienced one in here. I like to go with Firster since I watch them, in the mornings. But, I like the way BWP trained up to his first race. He was bet down to 2-1, finished second. The winner, Todd Sharrow, not only was really sharp in victory, but Todd Sharrow has trained well since then. So I got a feeling that he's going to be a pretty nice horse. BWP Spirit, Sire, was a grade 1 sprinter. I mean, everything's there. He's had a subsequent work after his nice second-place debut. So, he's logical in here. The 7, Brave Magic, for trainer Steve Asmussen. Stakes Place Dam. Steve's terrific with firsters. It seems like when they debut in Kentucky and come here, they're like automatic winners. When they train up there and debut here, I don't think his numbers are quite as strong. This is all off memory. But the fact he had him at Keeneland tells me he must have thought something of this colt. So he's going to be a major player. Capital Joke is interesting also. The Dam was a multiple stakes winner, Joke. And then the workouts have been good. I like the breeze. June 19th went 24 and change around the turn on that half-mile breeze, which is a good time for a 2-year-old. Debuts on Lasix. Richard Aramia works a lot of horses for Greg Green, so I think he's live as well.
I went ahead and took BWP Spirit as well. I went back and watched that race, and I mean, Todd Sharrow, I amazingly didn't pick him that day. You had him that day. He was a winner 2 strides out of the gate and just was more impressive from there. But this horse kept trying. I mean, this horse was 15 3/4 lengths clear of the third horse, and he was trying. This Todd Sharrow was just way too tough. And he could have been blown out by double digits if he had just said, forget it, So I really like that effort, even though he was well beaten. And I like BWP Spirit a lot. Brave Magic, I looked up the Dam, Valiant Passion, won at first asking at Gulfstream. And as you mentioned, with Stakes Place, ran third, I should say, in the Spinaway, which was a grade 1 back in 2010. And this horse is a half to a horse named Earn Success, who's won a bunch of races in his or her career. So Brave Magic could be a nice one, but I took him second. And my third pick is FJ's Flacco, number 3. First foal out of Ivy Lovely. The second Dam was a really good one. The grandmother was a really good one, won the Vagrancy, was a grade 1 winner. The Dam, though, was 0 for 2. So take that for what it's worth.
And just as a quick clocker's note, they ate Alto Road, had a sharp work back in May 27th, but was best in company on July 19th, 48-3. Looked clearly better than the stablemate, and to me showed a little promise in that breeze.
Yeah. And it's drawn well. I mean, it is nice to draw outside in these races. On to the 7th. Got a field of 8 going in here. 1 mile and 1/8 on the turf course. Maiden special weight fillies. So with that 9 furlong distance, aside from the overall competitiveness, I think, of this field, that 9 furlong distance makes it interesting.
Yeah, it makes it real interesting. The 3, no comment. I wrote down Z Pattern in 1978 when I first started going to the races. I mean, my infancy going to the track, an old man who bet me, he said, man, if you can find a horse with a Z Pattern, they show speed in the first race, rally in the second, or vice versa. Those horses tend to run big in their third start, and it stuck with me because I cast a $22 bet, a couple weeks after he gave me that information, and it kind of sticks in your brain.
So the Z Pattern is either
like this. He closed in his first race, and he showed speed and tired in his second race.
I must admit, I have not heard that.
Yeah.
And I started going to the races seriously in about 1980. So we date back almost the same distance.
We do.
I have not heard that comment.
Yeah. Well, this guy was a pretty successful horse player, an old dude, and I believed everything because I was very young at the time.
Well, I'm bucking it because I didn't use no comment at all, which surprises me now. I guess blowing at 8-5 scared me last time. But if she runs well, then I will never forget the Z Pattern, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, the fact that in her debut, she rallied to finish second behind Princess Pauline. I think your favorite filly on the grounds.
She is right now, yeah. Well, second favorite behind Marceline.
That's true. Now Marceline has overtaken her. I'm not sure. She ran terrific from behind the pace, and then last time she was close to the lead, and perhaps she wants to make one run. So I'm willing, since she got beat at 8-5 in similar company, I'm willing to give her one more chance, assuming that Calhoun's barn will say, hey, let's take her back. That's what she wants to do, and make one big run. And at this 9 furlong distance, that might be the right strategy. Autostrada finished in front of No Comment last time out, finishing second. That race came after a third-place finish. Will be forwardly placed, maybe able to make the lead by herself today in this field. So, she's real logical for top connections. Avery is interesting. It's all turf on the bottom. Malibu Moon is an outstanding sire. Mainly you think route and dirt, not route and turf. But nevertheless, that was a pretty fast closing turf sprint. Yeah. Bred to run this far, and I could see big improvement second time out. Has had 2 nice works also since that turf sprint debut.
And that's part of the reason why I took her. Autostrada, to me, we've caught her act enough. She's 0 for 10. I mean, all due respect. I mean, Asmussen's winning races now every single day. And, our Valentina ran a really nice race and just dusted everybody on June 11th here, but she hasn't worked since. So I thought, I'm going to try to beat Autostrada. I wasn't fully aware of the Z pattern principle, and No Comment scared me after that last performance, but I understand now you make a very good case for her. I probably overlooked her big time. So I went with Avery. I think she could improve. Scott Young's got to heat up eventually. I mean, this is just, unlike a guy who was well up over 20% on the year coming in, and he's 0 for 22 as of the start of this week here. And I just think this filly, like you say, might like the dirt. She was really badly outrun to the upper stretch last time out and closed a lot of ground. You're dead last in the upper stretch, and you still end up only beating a little less than 4 lengths. I like that. My third pick is Lenny B. Lucky, who picks up Iram Diego today. He's had a decent work tab since a May 19th race, in that race with Dial 10 for G. And I think this filly might like the distance as well. So I took Lenny B. Lucky as a little bit of a sleeper for third. Okay. On to the 8th. 6.5 furlongs, conditioned allowance here, 3-year-olds and up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to roll the dice, trying not to look too dumb, picking against Senior Buscador, but Spite and Malice has been so good. Yep. I mean, I would just figure, and he's a sprinter. He's a pure sprinter in tremendous form right now, back-to-back allowance wins, buyer figures that are very strong. He took 7 weeks before he ran that terrific race, beating second-level allowance rivals, comes back with 4 works, another roughly 7 weeks. Obviously, they figured out he runs really well fresh. So I'm taking Spite and Malice. I like this horse. I actually put Goddard over Senior Buscador. 3 straight stake-placed finishes. He worked with Axel Steele on June 26 when he went 47-2. I think this horse is going to run really well for Lane Luzzy today. And Senior Buscador, I put Tune Up with a question mark. He's a 2-turn runner. He has no early speed. He's running against, I think, a really top, sharp sprinter in Spite and Malice. The work at 102, he worked with Sheriff Brown. They broke him 4 lengths behind Sheriff Brown. He caught him, but Sheriff Brown was like on cruise control waiting on him. He got there. I could be way off. Maybe he's a special horse. Mary Rampolini rode. He's going to Del Mar with his top string after this. I just don't think this is their goal, a $34,000 sprint race. So, therefore, I'm picking against Senior Buscador, and I actually feel pretty good about the rail horse.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I did take Senor Buscador. I don't know. I totally get all of that. I just wonder if maybe he's just good enough, all due respect to the rest of the field, and this is a good group, if even his sort of tune-up effort might be enough. He could just come from out of it and run kind of a decent third, and that's just as likely as not. But I went ahead and took him over Spite and Malice and Goddard as well. This is a really good race. I should probably not take horses off a 1.5-year layoff that are going to be short prices, but
Wonder why Louis Q's not on him. Just curious, because he rode him all 3 starts last year.
I kind of wondered about that myself.
I mean, nothing against Rudy Gary. He does a good job. I'm just saying, Louis Q's always ridden the horse. I would like, and we like Louis. So
I love
would
Louis.
like to have seen him on the horse, but it's not going to help or hinder his chances today.
Yeah.
I'm just.
I like
bringing up a
Garon off
point.
the pace horses too, but Louis is one of my all-time favorites. But the one thing about Buscador, he's definitely not really a sprinter, but he did win his debut coming from well out of it. Now, obviously,
he did.
He's not facing horses like Spite and Malice, although he did face Flash of Mischief in that race.
Ended up being a nice horse.
Decent,
Flash of Mischief wound up being a nice sprinter.
Yeah. But I agree. He's probably looking at something by the sea, I would think. 9th race, $12,228 in the carryover in the high 5 heading to the 9th. Scratch the 1, Feel the Burning. Scratch the 2, Mr. Hands On. Scratch the 12, Tail Twister. I've got a long shot in this one as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is a really wide open race. A really good Super High 5 race. The Horn of Plenty. I tried hard to beat him. I just thought, man, I'm not going to try to beat him. He just looks too good right now. Back-to-back wins for Boberg, claimed by Rachel Keithan. Came back and ran a terrific race. Ernie Banker ran him down. Ernie Banker had a really good Oaklawn meet. It's a really strong finisher. Just, he couldn't hold him off. But Horn of Plenty, based on his last 3 races, I think is, going to run a really terrific race. 6 1/2 furlongs, is perfect for him, too, since he likes to finish up well. Mr. K finished with just 1 position behind Horn of Plenty. Has a little bit better speed than that rival. At Houston and Delta over the winter, he strung 3 straight wins together. Again, good early speed. Mr. K should be right there at the wire. And First Avenue, when I prepared for this seminar, I thought, maybe I should have picked him, 4th or 5th. But he's been running exclusively against allowance rivals. His buyer figures are very strong, albeit 2 turn numbers. He just seems like he's probably better around 2 turns. He gets an extra half furlong off a 3rd place allowance finish. So, again, his best race coming from out of the clouds. We could have a Senior Buscador First Avenue late double. 2 horses coming from 15 back.
You never know.
No.
I'm with you on all of that, but I took Replete. Carl Broberg obviously loves this horse. He likes this horse as much as I like Princess Pauline and Marceline because, he's claimed this horse back, 2 or 3 times. He keeps losing him, claims him back. Last time, a great turf effort behind Cabot. Nearly caught him. If you go back to June 9th, he did finish a bit behind Horn of Plenty and Mr. K, but his Oaklawn meet was really solid. He's one of those that seems to pop up every once in a while and run a big one. I think on his best day, he can go with these. He's maybe not the most consistent guy around, and he can lay a little bit close to the pace and finish. Plus, when Broberg goes with Elliott, it doesn't happen very often, but sometimes you can get good prices for those guys, considering they don't team up all the time. Eckleberry was allowed to ride Feel the Burning and then Feel the Burning scratch for Broberg. So maybe it's the why run 2 when 1 will do theory.
Could be.
So I'm gonna roll the dice on Replete over Horn of Plenty and Mr. K. And I loved Horn of Plenty though. I've had him at least. Well, I think I've had him twice this meet. And I don't think I picked Ernie Banker last time, but yeah, I've gotten a couple of good wins out of the Horn, so I like him. But some good races. We were very similar early in the picks. We diverged quite a bit in those last 3. So maybe the late pick 3 is going to be pretty interesting today.
Yeah, it should be.
All right. Well, thanks, Rick. Rick's going to be heading out east. Well, east in the Metroplex at least. Rodney will be here with me tomorrow, 5 o'clock start as well for the races tomorrow. Good luck here on your 3rd of July, and thanks for joining us.
Home here at Lone Star Park at Grand Prix. Sellers' 3rd victory in tonight's NTRA All-Star.
Coming down to the finish, Singletary to catch. Antonius Pius veers
by Jerry Bailey and Kieran Feller.
on the outside. Jerry Bailey goes to the lead. Gets the head in front and remains perfect this year.